Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, great. So, as Sharon mentioned, what I'll do real quickly, I know that we've probably got a few new people on here and maybe some that want to be a little more familiar with how the compensation plan works. Um, to be honest with you, a lot of people who are successful in Nu Skin don't really all understand the compensation plan. They just know that if you build, you make money. But uh, some of us are numbers people, so we kind of like to see where the money comes from because it helps us focus on what we need to focus. So um, essentially, velocity, you can split it up into three separate components, okay? What I call the front, the middle, and the back end of the compensation plan. And at the front end, anybody can become a brand affiliate. It's free to join. It never used to be like that, okay? Years ago, we had to pay a joining fee, pay annual materials fees. That's been dropped ages ago. So, it's pretty much free for anyone to join. And then immediately they can start earning what we call a daily pay, a daily bonus, which essentially means they can be paid 30 times per month. Whereas in the past, under the previous version of the compensation plan, we can only get paid once a month. So it's great now where people can get paid right up front for daily activities. And that would look a little bit like this. If you have recruited a few people to become brand affiliates or customers, okay, we'll use that term interchangeably. If you've personally introduced them, in other words, they're on your level one, okay? So when you personally sign somebody up, they're on your level one, then you're going to anywhere between, Sharon, I might just get you to keep an eye on the mute. I don't know why that's not working, that function at the moment, but everyone that's coming in is unmuted, so we have to manually do it. Anyway, so when you personally sign somebody up, you can earn a sharing bonus on anything that they purchase, okay? It generally varies between a 5 to 20% bonus on the dollar value of what they buy. So if you're talking about a kit, for example, like a 250-point kit, because some people buy kits because they want to try a spattering of the different products. And I've used US dollars here. You can mentally change it, okay, to whatever it is in the Pacific. Usually it's around 30 bucks US for a 250 kit. That's generally what it is around the world, okay? So 5 to 20%. You don't need to be personally purchasing product yourself in order to earn that bonus. So even people that are quietly sitting in the background, if they've got people that they've signed up in the past purchasing product, they're going to continue to earn a daily bonus on that, which is great because suddenly they might wake up and go, I can't believe it, I'm making money here. Maybe there's something more to this that I need to find out about, right? So it's a really good incentive. And then, obviously when people do wake up, and we like to wake them up from day one, that's why we show them the business, then they want to target becoming an executive or a brand representative because that's where the big commissions really start to kick in. And that's paid weekly. So they can continue to still get the daily pay on anyone they've personally introduced. So if you've personally introduced, whoever it is, anywhere in the world, and they're purchasing products, you'll always make that daily pay. And you can click a button in your online login at Genealogy. You can click a button to say, pay me now. Otherwise it accumulates and I think it can be paid weekly. Okay, but you can click a button to get paid right away. So the executive or the brand rep bonus gets paid weekly in addition to the daily pay. To become a brand rep, there are certain volume requirements. Okay, so I call it executive qualification. So being able to promote from just a brand affiliate to a brand representative or an executive, interchangeable term, okay? So there are two options. Number one here, if you follow my cursor down here on the bottom left, the slow track is 6,000 points in total volume, okay? 6,000 group sales volume in 6 months or less. And part of that requirement is you've got to do a minimum of 1,000 points per calendar month. So if you started today and you wanted to get on this executive qualification track, then you'd need to complete 1,000 points by the end of July. And we call that completing your LOI, letter of intent to become a brand rep executive, all right? And your sponsor, your upline, will help you through that process. They'll show you how to click that button online, and then that's your target, 1,000 points. Okay, and some people do a lot more than that. Okay, so that's the minimum, 1,000 points, and anything you do in addition to that contributes to this overall 6,000 points in 6 months or less, as long as you're doing a minimum 1,000 points per month. Okay, there is a shorter track where if you do 5,000 points, the second option here, if you do 5,000 points in 3 months or less, and you've got to have, down the bottom here, a little note, have 10 active retail customers or 10 active distributors anywhere in your team, can be your first, second, third level, doesn't matter. As long as you got 10 over that period and you do 5,000 points in 3 months or less, then you can be promoted to a brand rep there. So it really depends on how you build in your group. A lot of people do the 5,000. Some people do it in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months. You know, if they're a little bit slower, maybe they stretch it out to 6 months. So that's the program there. So if anyone is serious about the business side of this, they definitely want to become a brand representative and an executive, because when you do that, when your group is building, as you're going through that process and the building, you can now earn, once you're promoted to brand rep, you can now earn an incremental 5 to 40% over and above the daily bonus, okay? On your entire group, not just first level, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on, everywhere in the world where your organization spreads to. So this is where you start to lose a little bit of sleep in excitement, okay? So I'll show you some examples of what those commissions can look like, but once you're a brand rep, then there's a monthly maintenance requirement where during an entire calendar month, you got to have a minimum of 2,000 points to remain at the brand rep level. But you really want to be doing 3,000 because that starts to kick in the bigger bonuses, okay? So in our team, we teach 3,000 points because that promotes the best building behavior. 2,000 points, you know, is the bare minimum. So you should always target 3,000 or more. And the reason for that is because of this. Because as a brand rep, when you make that 5 to 40%, you know, and we've just worked out here what it is in US dollars. So as an example, if you do 2,000 points, you make 175 US, big deal, right? Well, it can become a very big deal, believe me. If you do 3,000, it's around 400 US. And you might not think that's a big deal right now, but Nu Skin has worked out that that is the magic number for a brand rep to stick forever, because it's enough to keep them interested and building and progressing to bigger and better things. So that is the magic number right there. 4,000 points group volume will start to generate 725 US. So that's now over $1,000 per month, which is significant as a second stream of income for people. Okay, part-time, right? Really part-time. You know, $1,000 a month could be a car payment, right? So that takes a load off a lot of people's backs. And this is in addition to the daily pay. Okay, so you're getting the daily pay and the weekly pay now of these amounts. And what you can see that once you start getting up into the bigger volumes, let's say 20,000 points, it's around 6,950 US, which is $1,000 Aussie, 10,000 Aussie, $10,000 Aussie a month. You're starting to get into these almost management corporate incomes. And how do you get that in the real world out there, which is slowly becoming not the real world, okay? Let me qualify that. But out there to earn those sorts of incomes, you got to go to university, graduate, work your butt off, you know, for years and years, sucking up to the boss for years and years in a job that statistically we now know 80% of people hate, because that was the review, right, Sharon? 80% of people admit that they actually hate their job. Okay, so, but they're stuck. So this is, you know, this is a way of transitioning them out. So the question is, how do you build 20,000 points? Well, I'll give you some tips on that in a little while, okay? But essentially, the bigger the volume, the bigger the commission check. And you want to build that to a point where over time, your volume is nice and healthy each month, so you're earning that. But imagine you start to develop other reps and executives, brand representatives in your business that are spinning off doing the same thing. This is where the big money is, okay? The lifestyle income, all right? And so it would look like this. Let's say you got a group. One of them says, hey, I want to be the brand rep here. I want to earn that 5 to 40%. And you go, great, let me help you. Okay, so you teach, okay? You teach them what you've learned and help them promote to brand rep. And now they're getting the 5 to 40% on their team. You want them to. You want them to make money because they're going to get really focused, okay? Money does funny things to people. They get excited about it, right? And so what you'll earn on that, because they're now what we call a breakaway brand rep or a breakaway executive in your team, still in your team, you now earn a 5% royalty on that, an override forever. As long as they're an executive, you're going to continue to make that 5%, okay? If you build 2 executives on your first level, 2 brand reps, okay, then you can now reach two levels deep of brand reps. So the chances are, if you've got brand reps on your first level, they're going to have brand reps under them because they're duplicating. Duplication is king here. Whatever you teach duplicates. It always does. Whether you do it right or you do it wrong, it's going to duplicate, all right? So the wider you go, the deeper it generally goes, and the wider you go, the deeper you can tap. So when I say wider, it means you're building up brand reps on your first level, and as those brand reps continue to develop downline, okay, as those teams develop and break off, the 5% down there on the 3rd generation becomes more than all the 5% added together in your first 2 generations. And this is the Ruby that Sharon was talking about a little while ago. This is a key milestone in USKIN. If you can get to Ruby, you're now at a really good crossroads where things can start kicking in big time, okay? And you know what? The truth is some people just settle at Ruby because that's all they want, and that's fine, okay? The average Ruby income in Australia is around 3 to 4 grand a month. Some people make a lot more than that. Some people make less. That's the average. If you want to progress, okay, as your groups develop even deeper down onto your 4th generation, okay, you need to have 4 brand reps, okay, and one of them, let me go back there. I just accidentally hit that. My transitions are a bit out. But you still have 4 brand reps, but one of their teams is doing a total of 10,000 points all the way down 6 generations. Okay, not just their group, but different groups down 6 generations. If they're doing 10,000 points down there, you're now promoted to what we call an emerald partner, okay? Emerald executive, and you're now tapping into 5% down on the 4th generation. 1, 2, 3, 4. And generally that 5%, as the organization matures, is going to be worth more than all the first 3 generations put together. So this is the power of networking when it's done properly, okay? As it develops even deeper, you know, onto your 5th level, you need to have 1 more team on your first level. So you need to have 5 executives, 5 brand reps on your first level, and another one of them, whoops, I jumped ahead again. So the transition's slightly up. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so you got 5 brand reps on your first level, and one of them is doing at least 10,000 points down all their generations, and a second one is doing 20,000 points down all their generations. So what Nu Skin's teaching here, the message it's sending is that as your organization builds wide, you want to develop strength deep, because I can tell you once organizations start getting into 20,000 volume, momentum kicks in. It sort of reaches a magic point where there is enough happening in your organization now that it's kind of going to happen with or without you, which is a good thing because you want leverage. That's why we do this, to build leverage, to build freedom, independence, where you don't have to show up all the time, right? All right, so make sure you understand this. You build 5 brand reps on your first level. 2 of them are sort of building strong. We call them leadership teams. okay, 2 out of the 5, you're now tapping 5 generations, and you're a diamond partner, and a diamond partner on average, I believe, earns somewhere around 8, 9, 10,000 minimum per month average. Some make a lot more, okay? Now, you want to get up into the blue diamond, go for it. And that's why Sharon quit her career, I quit my career, and many others did, because we had our eyes laser focused on getting to blue diamond. And a blue diamond means you got to have six brand reps on your first level, or 6 teams, 3 of them are building reasonably solid. So you've got to have a 3rd team doing at least 30,000 points. Okay. So as your business is maturing, you know, your 10,000 leg is probably going to end up becoming a 20,000, and then a 30,000, and then you got others following, right? So as long as you got three out of your 6 doing at least 10, 20, and 30,000 points, you're now a blue diamond. That's one of the top echelons in the business, okay? And the average blue diamond income in the Pacific region is over 65,000 a month, okay? Now, you're probably looking at that thinking, well, on those volumes, how do you make 60 plus thousand a month? Like I said, as your groups are maturing, they start kicking in. So some of these groups end up becoming 200,000 and 300,000 and 400,000 and $1 million. Yes, I know it's a bit out here for some people right now, but that is the power of this business when done properly, okay? And then if you want to go the extra mile, I recommend you do it. Get to Team Elite, okay? A Team Elite is where you've got 6 executives minimum, okay? And you've got a 4th leg doing 40,000 points. So out of your 6, you've developed 4 reasonably strong legs, okay? And now you're still tapping down 6 generations, but now you're getting on the Team Elite trips every year, okay? The next one's been postponed. It's going to be later next year, but it's in London. So hopefully the whole world will be fixed by then, okay? And, you know, the Team Elite trips will kick in, but there's a lot more to being a Team Elite than just the trips. It's the partnering. It's the way you can interact with a company and get involved in the decision-making, and just the respect. And Team Elite is ultimately where you want to be, okay? So Blue Diamond is great, but keep your eyes laser focused on Team Elite. Now, the beauty of being a Team Elite is once you hit that level, any new executives that you build after that, down through their generations, you can make between 5 and 15%. An extra, whoops, I lost that. Let's go back there. There it is, it's coming up now. You make an extra 10 to 15%, my mistake. Okay, down through these generations, 5 to 10 on your 5th, 5% on your 6th. So this is amazing here. So if you were able to build a similar organization that you built in the first 6 here, over in here, you'd make triple the money, potentially, okay? This was an incentive brought in a number of years ago while I was in the business. When I had started the business, it was brought in a few years later because Nu Skin noticed that a lot of Blue Diamonds were just retiring. It's like, man, our best leaders are retiring, right? We've got to find a way to keep them interested in doing even more. So they brought in this extra bonus here when you're a Team Elite of 10 to 15%. They're called business building positions. And some of our Blue Diamonds and Team Elites already have these positions, and they're building under there, and it's a license to print money if you do it right, okay? The nice thing about this whole process, and you know, you may not be interested, but you've got to put your head in the space of a brand new person, okay? As you're progressing through these, what we call pin levels, through gold, lapis, ruby, emerald, diamond, Blue Diamond, Team Elite, as you're progressing through here, the company's throwing these trips at you, the ones that Sharon talked about, where even as a brand rep or a gold, you can actually reach the benchmark to get on these trips, okay? And the trips are usually an all expense paid for 2. Some of us bring our families because it's fun. And, you know, in value, the company is spending anywhere between, you know, $8,000 and $10,000 all expenses for you guys to get on these trips. This is in addition to the commissions, okay? Now, if you think about that, if you give this some perspective, most people that are out there working for somebody or in a job or even in their own business, they don't get awarded trips, okay? They don't get awarded trips. I mean, when I worked at KPMG, Pete Marwick all those years ago, you know, my life was 6-minute units. Every 6 minutes, I had to bill a client as a tax lawyer, accountant, quasi, whatever, manager. I had to bill in 6-minute increments, and I had to justify my hours every friggin' day. I had to do minimum 7 hours of chargeable units per day. That's a lot. Okay, you might think, well, you work 8 hours, 7's easy. It's not, because all the time has to be chargeable, productive. And then I got a salary. I got maybe 4 to 6 weeks leave per year, and most of the time it was rejected. And even when I took the leave, I had to pay for it. They didn't pay for it. So I didn't get any free trips. I had to work my brains out for a salary, for a pittance, okay? And in order to keep making that salary, I had to keep showing up. So if anyone's income is dependent on them being there or being involved all the time, it's not really leveraged, okay? It's a dangerous situation. So what Nu Skin has afforded us here is a brilliant platform where they've set up this incredible corporation, invested all the risk and the money and the science and the infrastructure, so that all we have to do is go out, be the messenger, and share what we've learned, okay? Use the product, be familiar with the product, be a product of the product, build your belief, learn a system, and teach it. And the more you can teach it, the more you can get it out there to people that need this, and they need this. They just don't know it yet, but they need it. And you can't do a bad presentation or show a bad, you know, Nu Skin opportunity to the wrong person. Believe me, if they're in the right place at the right time, they will do it just like I did, and just like many of you have done it. Okay, so that's kind of your roadmap to success. But is it that simple? It looks like a straight path to the finish line, doesn't it? But life throws challenges at you. It does. It really does. It throws curveballs, and usually the curveballs come in the shape of people. That's all it is, because you're dealing with people, okay? And the better you can become at dealing with people, the better and more successful you're going to be, the quicker you're going to learn. And it doesn't matter what your background is. I can promise you that. It doesn't matter whether you're the greatest corporate lawyer or the greatest businessman in the world. You're going to learn new skills here. You're going to learn some new principles that if you keep it simple, you can be successful. Because anybody from any walk of life, and it's been demonstrated thousands of times, can become successful in this business. So I'm going to share a few tips that I've learned personally along the way. I mean, my wife and I have been involved in the business now for more than 20 years, okay? A lot of that in the beginning was spending time living in other countries, trying to build there, because we didn't have this technology back then. We didn't have cell phones where you could make unlimited calls for a cap price. I mean, my phone bills back in the day were over $1,000 a month. And, you know, when you first start in the business, that hurts, okay? We didn't have the internet. We had a few years, and we had dial-up internet. What's that? Okay. We had faxes, and we had airplanes and expensive bills, okay? So it was tough, but, you know, you learn a lot going through those processes and watching, you know, things evolve and develop. And you see, we've made a lot of friends in the business worldwide, okay? Not just in our team, but in many teams. And we share information on the Team Elite trips, and we get to see a lot of things, not just through our businesses, but others. And so the stuff that I'm going to share with you now, these are just tips that I'm going to throw out there and maybe elaborate a little bit on. And hopefully you'll pick up some gold nuggets here, and it'll help, you know, help your trajectory in your track to Blue Diamond and beyond. Wow, it didn't transition. Okay, so this is a complicated slide now because it didn't transition. So try to stick to the first line. Just stay with me. I know you want to read down there. Just stay with me on each thought here, okay? So leadership tip number 1, have a great relationship with the company and all the staff, okay? Don't grate on the staff. They're just employees, man, okay? We're fortunate that these people, you know, they probably look at the amount of money that distributors and reps get paid and go, I'm on the wrong side of the equation here. And some of them actually quit and then join the business. But we need the staff there in the company, and the company looks after them, okay? But they're just employees. They go there and they grind it every day, 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day, and sometimes even after hours, they're available, okay? And the company has employed up to 10,000 staff worldwide in 50 countries for us. We don't have to pay their salaries, their sick pay, whatever it is. We don't have to pay for that. Fantastic. That's a huge headache removed out of building a business, okay? So let's respect that they go through that. Always treat them with respect, have a great relationship with them. Don't piss them off. Sorry, that's my French, but it's real. Don't piss them off. And I've seen distributors piss off staff, and I can't stand it. Never do that, because they're here to help us, okay? And they're like our partners, but still they're temporary. They're in a job, and long-term, they may be there, they may not, but other staff will come in and replace them. It's a revolving thing. Second tip, you got to have an even greater relationship with your upline and your downline. Why? Because they're there forever. They're not in a job. They're not temporary unless you make them temporary, okay? So don't make them temporary. You want a long-term relationship with your upline and your downline, because it's the same family, where this is family distributors here, okay? Long-term partners, I treat all downline like my partners, not like downline, okay? And never disrespect them or take advantage of them, because they will remember it forever, okay? The most successful leaders are definitely the most respectful, and you're going to observe that as you go through this process. So just learn to be humble, okay? You know, I'll share this with you. Elaine and Ethan, my youngest son, were talking the other day. Ethan was talking about his basketball skills, and Elaine said to him, Ethan, and he's a great basketballer, gets it from his dad, although his dad gets injured. So he was talking about how he was getting some shots and stuff, and Elaine said, Ethan, you got to be humble. And then he said, what's that? Does that mean weak? And I said, no, it does not mean weak. It means be respectful to other people's feelings, okay? And he got it. He gets it now. So always remember that. Number 3 here, the big money. Remember the compensation plan I just did? The front, the middle, and the back. The big money is in you becoming an executive factory. So what does that mean? That means you want to develop as many brand reps or executives as you possibly can during your career, because they become independent, incredible leaders and partners in your business everywhere in the world, okay? And you want leveraged income, you want permanent income, you need independent executives, leaders. So it starts with you first, okay? You teach them, okay, what you know, work with them, help them build. It'll start off small in the beginning, but if you think of geometric progression here, compounding effect, you know, 2 becomes 4, becomes 8, becomes 16, becomes 32, and so on. So the hard work is in the beginning, building that foundation, and then amazing things begin to happen as your business takes off, okay? Now, in breaking that down and being an executive factory, how do we become an executive? How do we become a brand rep? Well, the first trigger is becoming an LOI, reaching that threshold of 1,000 points to get you over the line. So Nu Skin now tracks your volume, and you now have targets. And people work well when there's targets. If they're just kind of drifting here and there, nothing happens, okay? If you've got a target, okay, if you can measure it on a daily basis, if you've got a target, you're going to hit it for sure, okay? Okay, and even if you don't hit it, you push harder the next time to hit that target, okay? So LOIs are definitely the key indicator in your business. So this is for, you know, our seasoned brand reps here. Every month, okay, I look at the number of LOIs in my organization everywhere in the world, because it indicates to me where it's growing biggest, okay? So the biggest number of LOIs is where your growth is going to happen. So learn this, LOI, 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 yes, okay? Learn to be a great marketer of impending events. What are impending events? Well, this could be an impending event, this training. Our meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays could be impending events, okay? The next big event that Nu Skin runs, interacting with distributors, that's an impending event. in the olden days, I call them the olden days, in the olden days, when many of us would meet in a room, okay, because there's great energy when something is live event creates great energy. Magical things happen. Can we get everybody muted? Can we get everybody muted in the background? So I'll reflect back on the moment for me, okay? So 20 odd years ago, I went to an event run by Nu Skin at the ANA Hotel in the Rocks in Sydney. It's the Shangri-La now. Yeah, it was the ANA back then, that's right. And I walked into a room, I sat there, I was the skeptical guy at the back of the room, okay? And there were hundreds and hundreds of people there, including the founders of the company and some people that were progressing really well. Doctors, dentists, lawyers, cleaning, they're just people from all walks of life. And in that event, when I started to see these different people, because I had a huge skepticism with network marketing. I did. Massive blockage up here, massive, okay? And it was because of stuff that I'd seen in the market before, so I kind of had this block, this mental block. But when I was in there and I was exposing myself to these impending events, bang, it clicked. It took a few goes, right? It took a few of these events for it to click. And I know exactly the moment, and I know the time of day. It was 3:20 in the afternoon. And I know it because I wrote it down. And the girl next to me who I invited, who never ended up doing the business anyway, it just happens. But I wrote down at 3:20, I'm going to become a blue diamond and nothing's going to stop me, because it clicked for me at that moment. And at that moment, I was born as a leader in this business, okay? And as a result of that, other leaders, right? And before me, other leaders were born in these events. That's why I'm here now. So never underestimate the power of impending events and group energy. Group energy creates magic. It's not hypey. It's not hypey. Okay, you might think it's hypey. It's professional. We hear testimonials, we hear stories from other people, and it could be one thing that someone says and goes, I get it, okay? And I've experienced this where I've taught things over the years to people. Those same people go and hear the same thing that I taught from someone else and go, oh, it makes sense now. And we're like, the other leader and I look at this and go, unbelievable. The grass is always greener on the other side, isn't it? You hear the same thing from the other person, it suddenly makes sense. So that's why you need your people exposed to other people, right? Because you may not make an impression on them, but somebody else might, and they're still in your team. It's a good thing, okay? So impending events are critical. Critical. If you're not tapping into them, man, you're going to be dead in the water, believe me, okay? This is how you lock in the belief for new leaders. Belief is the key to forward momentum. Belief is the key to that first step, which creates momentum, okay? Use the success trips. Sharon mentioned this earlier. Use the success trips as a benchmark for building milestones. So, a brand new person, and I'm sorry if you're a brand new person and this is up here for you, but it's good for you, okay? It's good food for you mentally. So success trips are great for brand new people, especially because when they come in and they're going, well, $65,000 a month just seems unreachable for me. Yeah, I get it, okay? It was for me. So you got to target smaller steps, smaller chunks, right? So as a brand rep, if you can do 10,000 points or whatever it is for 4 out of the 7 months, you think, I might be able to do that. So how do I do that? Upline, help me. And you target, you set up a system, right? And you go out there and you do it. It could be through getting other LOIs as well as customers, a combination. Once you hit that, the next time you try to hit a trip, maybe it's a little bit more. So as you're targeting these trips and being rewarded, okay? Rewarded for your achievements. I used to reward myself for my trips when I was working in the career. I'd reward myself working a whole friggin' year for a boss. I'd go on a trip to the snow or something. That was my reward, but I paid for it. Well, here Nu Skin pays for it. So these success trips are an incredible benchmark as a recognition milestone. So target the trips, guys. Don't underestimate it, all right? And make sure you've got a system and stick to it. Stop changing the system. People always come in. I hear this all the time. I've had it several times just in the last few weeks, and I sit there and I kind of like just absorb it, and a glazed look goes over my eye when people tell me, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there and do this. I'm going to go out and then I'm going to post this and I'm going to do it this way because I think this way will work. And I'm like, I already know it won't work. I don't tell them that, but if I tell them that, they'll be deflated, right? I just say, look, in my experience, it's better that you follow what's proven, what we know works, and stick to it. Okay, you may not do it exactly the same. You'll use your own personality, but stick to the principles because we know it works. Make your first $1 million our way, and then go do it your way. That's fine. Okay, that's the best response. Make your first $1 million our way, then go change the system if you want. And will they? Of course not. So stick to a system and keep it simple as possible. Okay, your upline, someone in your upline has a system that is super simple, that if you copy it, you'll be fine. Okay, cross-fertilize, what does that mean? It means, you know, some of us just focus on a couple of products, maybe even one product. I mean, social platforms that we use, a lot of people just focus on AP24 toothpaste, which is great because it's small, it's doable, it's a no permission needed product. It opens massive doors into the business, but then you got to be able to cross-fertilize. So get them to try a few other products. And one of the best ways is through regular training, product trainings, and you have testimonials, people that are talking about the products, their experience. And remember this, look, you know, the company has huge amounts of information online about the products. It's too hard. It's too hard. All the product information pages and what are the ingredients and what does it do? What are the benefits and all this? It's too hard. It's too hard to duplicate, okay? You know, people come in and they say, right, I want to know everything about all the products before I go out and talk to people. It's too hard. It slows things down. You're better off experiencing the product yourself, you know, or in the beginning, hearing other people's stories about the product, because stories sell, real stories, not fake stories. You got to keep it real, okay? Real testimonials, and go, wow, if it can do that, I want to try that product, okay? And that's usually how it happens. And then you've got your own testimonial, and other people in your downline are going to borrow your testimonial for them to build on, okay? You see how that's simple and really fast, and it can start moving a lot faster, okay? So cross-fertilizing into other products, those testimonials are going to happen naturally. All right, now, this is a big one. Build a strong customer base to cement your maintenance, your monthly maintenance GSV. Remember earlier I said the minimum maintenance is 2,000. The preferred minimum maintenance is 3,000, but 4,000 starts to get into the magic numbers. It really does, where the commissions are quite significant for people to go, this is serious, okay? So the way to do that, the way to get to 4,000 group sales volume every month, so as your executives break away, they're not in your GSV anymore. You've got to have your own GSV eventually, okay? So you want to, as you're building brand reps and executives, you want to be adding customers as well, okay? People that just want to use the product. It could be a toothpaste, it could be a body bar, whatever it is, okay? And in our experience, if you've got 30 plus customers, okay, you start getting into the 4,000 and above GSV. And, you know, that could take you a month, 6 months, 12 months, okay? Whatever it is, okay? So the more the merrier. Imagine if you've got just 100 executives in your entire team and they're all doing 4,000 points each. How much volume is that? 400,000 US, that's 600,000 Aussie per month. Every month, with or without you, okay? And 100 executives is a medium-sized business. It's not even a huge business, okay? Okay, once you start getting to 300 executives and above, now you're getting into a huge business. 300 executives in your total organization at 4,000 points is 1.2 million US, which is 1.8 million Aussie, which is 90,000 Australian dollars per month. You see it? Okay. It all starts with you. Okay, because if you don't do it, it won't duplicate. So you want a really healthy organization, Your downline need to see you walking the talk, okay? Now, of your 4,000 GSV, ADRs, automatic delivery rewards, are fantastic types of volumes. An ADR is an auto ship, okay? So anyone, even a customer, can go on an auto ship, okay? And they can change whatever product is in the auto ship. So one month it could be shampoo, the next month it could be toothpaste, or they can stick to the same thing or add to it. And the attraction for people to get onto an ADR is the benefits associated with it. Number one, they get it at member price, which is practically wholesale, right? But they also get a 20% credit, a reward credit accumulating in their account to be applied against any other products in the future. Okay, it's up to a maximum of 75 points per month, but what's that? That's about $120 worth of product for free, okay? So you can get up to about 120 bucks worth of product for free per month by being on an ADR. That's pretty good. So a lot of customers go, yeah, I'll do it. Now, here's what history has shown us. People that stay on an ADR for 12 months are there forever, okay? In my experience, about 50% of ADRs drop off within the first 12 months. But if you keep adding, eventually, by 12 months, you're going to have a really solid group of ADRs. And the beauty of that is once they go past 12 months on their ADR, the credit, the reward credit, jumps up to 30%, okay? And they love the 30%. They go like, I'm on this forever. They don't want to lose the 30%. So this is a great way, a great business tool that Nu Skin has provided us of building auto ships. Now, the nice thing about that is as your business is growing over the next year or two or three, and you switch on the computer and log into your genealogy and bam, all this auto ship volume is there. You go, wow, it's beautiful stuff, okay? Why do you think the telecom companies love us? They put us on an auto ship. I get hit with Vodafone every month, whether I like it or not, right? But I need the service, all right? It's the same thing with Foxtel, with, anything that you auto ship or you're on a subscription for. The nice thing about this subscription is it's easy for people to get on and easy for people to get off without any penalties. If they change their mind, they can get off, okay? So utilize this and learn it, guys. Nutritional products are a fantastic way to get people on auto ship. Why? Because nutritional products run out every month. If they're taking it properly, next month it's empty again. Next one shows up. Next one shows up, okay? All right. Next tip, always set the example, okay? I want you to remember this. This is really, 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 really important. You have to set the example. Your downline, your team either wants to be like you or not like you. And if they don't want to be like you, you better change, okay? Something's wrong, all right? Always set the example, okay? Now, you might want to blame your upline for that, but usually if you look in the mirror, it's you, okay? It was me and it's you, okay? We all have to set the example for our downline to be like us, okay? And remember this, you're not the opportunity. Nu Skin is the opportunity. You're not the opportunity, all right? It's not about you. It's about the business opportunity, okay? All right, and this is a big one, especially now, all right? Especially in this crazy climate that we're living in. Learn, if you don't know it, just learn it a bit, enough to be able to talk to somebody about it. You don't have to become good at online and social. It probably takes too much time, okay? But this next generation coming through, 20s, 30s, 40s, they're all good at social media, okay? So if you're not good at social media, find someone who is and recruit them. It is the future and the next generation, okay? You got to think about the next generation here. You got to think, as you build this business, who's going to take over your business? Yes, it will go on, but you want to also be targeting this next generation now, okay? Recruit people who are good on social, even if you're not, okay? Now, this is a big one too. There is a tendency in this business for everybody to cushion their downline from outside influences. Yeah, but that is counterintuitive to what I just spoke about earlier about impending events and people getting excited when they see other success. Don't isolate your team. It's a mistake. I've done it. I did it in the past. Big mistake. okay? I didn't do it in the beginning, okay? Then I did it, and then I don't do it anymore, okay? And look, you're going to build relationships with people right around the world, and you're going to know who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with, okay? But don't isolate your team. It's confusing. It duplicates downline, okay? It messes with group energy, and you can't grow big, okay? How can you grow big if you fragment your team? So you understand, right? I hope. Now, this is probably a bit more advanced, but as you build your group and you evolve in the business, and a lot of people don't do this, but some people do, and you really need to reflect. Get rid of negative and dishonest people in your business, in your circle of influence. They are a pain. It's more painful concentrating on negative, especially dishonest people. It'll harm your business. It's like a rotten apple in an apple cart, okay? You're better off, sponsor nice, honest, pleasant people, and you'll have a pleasant business, right? And this is a big one too. Actually, they're all big, right? People who have not built the business, people on the outside should definitely not be giving advice to people on the inside because they haven't built it, okay? I see this all the time, and it's frustrating, but you know, what do you do? There's an abundance of information out there. You know, people want to give free advice. It's never free. There's always a catch, okay? People want to give you their advice on the business. What's the catch? Well, you know, sometimes misery loves company, right? If people aren't doing the business and they're miserable, they want you to be miserable too because they want you to hang out with them. So they're not going to give you good advice on the business. Yes, go ahead and become successful in Newskin, George, right? You think they did that? No. But what they do now, some of those people that did that to me say, you were so lucky. I wasn't lucky. I just didn't listen to them. Okay. So people who have not built the business, okay, and they may be good on social media and some other things, and you'll pick up some tips, but if they haven't actually built our business, they don't know our business. They really don't. Okay. So get advice from people in the business, right? And this one will either stop you dead in your tracks or you'll jump forward in leaps and bounds. You have to set a daily action plan. Doesn't matter about all the other stuff. If you don't set a daily action plan and commit to it without any excuses, nothing's going to happen, okay? You'll be sitting there and going, well, this doesn't really work. It works, but you got to do it, okay? So why does this happen? Because life gets in the way, right? Everybody's busy. Even when they're not busy, they think they're busy anyway. They get distracted. You know, the kids could be yelling out and, you know, you're trying to shoo them away and then, oh, daddy, come on. And you're like, you get distracted. When you set a chunk of time to do this business, don't let anything interfere unless it's life and death, okay? Unless it's absolute. If it affects your health or the health of your family, that's a good excuse. If it's not any of that, if it's somebody else that wants you to do something for them instead of you doing something for yourself, don't do it. Learn to say, no, I'm busy, or switch your phone off, okay? All right, so that might sound counterproductive, but you'll figure it out. Okay, so set a daily action plan and commit to it. So how do you do that? Well, you can do your own, but this is what I used 20 years ago, okay? My daily plan. I set a goal of how many people I was going to contact. It could be how many people you're going to contact on social media, okay? How many people you're going to talk to or bump into, or whatever it is, whatever your goal is. You got to set a goal, whether it's 5 or 10 or 20 or 100, okay? You have to set the goal, and then that may not be dials. That was dials for me because back in the day, it was picking up the phone. Tough, all right? And connecting with someone, and then, well, reaching out, but actually connecting. So actually connecting with someone is going to be less than reaching out to connect with someone, right? Because some of them aren't going to be there, right? So you got to measure that, and then measure. It may not be an appointment. It might be them watching something online. Okay. It might be them doing a shout out for you on social. It might be them, buying a toothpaste, whatever it is. Okay. Whatever your goal is, you've got to do that daily. You got to do that absolutely daily without fail. And you do not stop that day until you've reached the goal, because the minute you compromise your goal, you compromise your business. Okay. And if you do this, by the time you've done this for 2 or 3 months straight, you won't even need to measure it. It'll be automatic. You'll know when you're on the money or not on the money. Okay. You'll know whether you're in the zone or not in the zone. Okay. And in this business, you've got to get into the zone for a period of time, whatever that period is. It could be a year, 2 years, 3 years. I don't know. Does it matter? 60 grand a month is a lot of money. Okay. So you got to be in that zone, crushing it. Wow. Don't know how all those lines came up there, but you got to be in the zone, crushing it. Okay. And do a daily action plan. I'll get rid of that because how did that get on my screen? I'll stop the share. All right. So I think you get the idea, right? So hopefully those little nuggets there are going to be helpful to you in your business. Do the daily action plan because it works. Get focused and success will come. Simple as that. So Sharon, I'll hand it back over to you.
Yeah, thanks, George. And finally, just to close out on the training, as George mentioned, I really believe that our mindset is the biggest factor. So I'm going to play a very quick mindset training. It's actually 5 minutes. Okay. It's really about how billionaires think. And I think that it's really relatable to our business. So when a tip for you. So whenever I'm listening to podcasts, whether it's a personal development or whatever, I always think about how does that relate to my Nu Skin business, or how can I apply that to my Nu Skin business? So I would encourage you to do the same as well. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And then, yeah.
I would teach you how to think correctly. The largest gap between successful and unsuccessful people in life is the thinking gap. I'm not talking about being smart. I'm not talking about an IQ. I'm talking about how you think, how I think. Successful people think differently than unsuccessful people. Wise thinking leads to right living. Stupid thinking leads to wrong living. If you want to have a fulfilled life, you have to fill your mind correctly. Right now, you need to focus on today. What I realized so many leaders don't understand is that truly today matters. And we overestimate what we could do tomorrow. We over-exaggerate what we did yesterday, but we underestimate what we can do right now. The only time you have, the only time I have, is now. So the question for all of us is, what am I doing with now? The great leaders, they're present in the moment, and because of that, they maximize the moment. So if you're tempted to take that faraway glance, well, glance. Get right back to the present moment. Because today, you're preparing to make tomorrow a success. Well, we all want to be motivated, and yet so many times we fail to find the secret of motivation, and so let me give it to you quickly. Just do it. Motivation is not the cause of action, it's the byproduct of action. There's a lot of difference. If I think motivation is the cause of my action, then I'm going to wait to be motivated before I do something. But if I realize it's the byproduct of my action, then I'll start doing something. And then guess what? Motivation will come up and zap you, and all of a sudden you feel good and you're glad you're doing it. You're saying, wow, this is truly wonderful. So let it be the byproduct you like. Don't let it be the foundation for the actions that you take. Nothing comes to you until you commit yourself. Nothing comes to you if you're just going to try, but you're not committed. Nothing comes to you if you're just thinking about it. It's not until you take the action step. It's not until you take the direction do the things start to flow through you. But I'm saying don't cheat yourself out of the possibility of the potential that's on the other side of commitment. Stay with it long enough to find out if there's any fruit in it. You can do goal setting with a pencil, but you have to do goal getting with your legs. You got to take action. And it's the action that separates us. The greatest gap in this world is the gap between knowing and doing. Knowing is goal setting. Doing, now that's goal achieving. People that are knowledgeable about habits say that it takes 30 days for a habit to become a habit. Now, habits can be good, habits can be bad. So over a period of time, you can either be developing habits that are going to help you, or you can be developing habits that are going to hurt you. People that grow develop habits that help. The great value of a good habit is you don't have to think about it. That's why it's a habit. In other words, once you begin to, over days and times and periods, begin to practice something that's good, after a while it becomes automatic to you. It becomes who you are. In fact, I always tell people, practice a good habit long enough to make it yours. And once it's yours, now it's automatic. Every day, you'll do what you should do. Often I have the expression that everything worthwhile is uphill. That's a fact. You've never heard someone talk about accidental achievements. You've never heard someone that got to the top of the mountain and somebody asked them, how did you get there? Kind of look confused and say, I have no idea. They know how they got there. The reason they know how they got there is because they had to walk all the way up the mountain. Nobody lifted that. There were no shortcuts. There's not an elevator. There's not an escalator. It's all effort that gets you to the top of the mountain. What I want you to understand is that inspiration does a lot better when it's coupled with perspiration. There are a whole lot of people, they want to be inspired in great things, but they don't want to do the hard work to achieve those great things. It's not either or, it's both and. So I really trust today that you will just kind of roll up your sleeves, look at something you haven't tackled for a while, dive in. You'll be amazed that once after you do the work, you get inspired. Don't wait to get inspired before you do the work.
Wow, I loved it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to close out, George. So a quick announcement about Tuesday. We're going to have a Blue Diamond from New Zealand. She's going to be our guest speaker. She is very dynamic. She spoke at the convention that we had 2 months ago, and it was last month, actually July. Was it July or June? Anyway, it's moving so fast that I'm losing count. But anyway, she spoke then, and she is a very very powerful speaker. So I would encourage you to invite loads of people to tune in, and of course yourself as well. Yeah, George, did you want to?
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. See you guys. Thanks, George. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great weekend, a productive weekend. Perspiration.
Thanks, George. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend too. Thank you.